Welcome to Business Talk Sister Gawk. I'm Becca.
And I'm Ruthie.
And today's episode title is How to Make a Recording Studio. And with us today, we have Max Haben. And he actually also has a podcast. It's called The Innovative Builder. And he's going to tell us a little bit about that today as well. But thanks so much for being with us today.
It's great to be here, Rebecca and Ruthie. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So our first question for you is, what do you do?
Well, that is somewhat of a complicated question, but not too complicated. Really what I do is I'm a content marketer, content producer. I work for a company called JNRS. We are a start to finish construction company. And I've been working with them for about a year and a half. And in the process of working with JNRS, I have also had the opportunity to open up a production studio. So I'm also starting up a business and running a production studio that's sort of tied to JNRS and what I'm doing with them. It's all kind of integrated, but got a couple different things going on, which is really exciting.
Awesome. Okay. So when I had talked with you, when I first met you, you kind of told me a little bit about the why of like meeting a specific need for your industry. So tell us a little bit more about the story behind your why.
Yeah. So in regards to Framework Studio, which we're in the process of opening up, a lot of the work I did with JNRS over the last year was based around content production. I have a video background. I'm a filmmaker by trade. And so I've sort of stumbled into the marketing world and don't have a lot of background actually, or kind of traditional marketing training or experience. But I've really just brought my video content production and my storytelling kind of background into this marketing role. And what I found with that is that there's a big need for content production for a lot of companies out there. And I've been working for a construction company, and in particular in the trades. A lot of these kind of old school trades companies aren't doing a lot of marketing, but there's really great opportunity for them to do content and to do, video content, social media, podcasting. And so we've started to do that with JNRS, and then we saw a need for other companies to do that as well. And so we're going to be working with some other companies to help them with their content production. But then we also created this studio space as really just a collaborative place for anybody who is looking to create content. And so we hope that for kind of the local market here in Duluth, it can be a place for people to come together and connect and create content.
Yeah. So Ruthie was telling me a little bit about your studio because she got to look at it, but
it's beautiful.
Tell me,
so modern and gorgeous.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about what went into the design of it. And when you said, this is what I want to do, I want to create a place for people to come and make content. What was the planning like for that?
That's a great question. I'm very much a visionary person, and I've discovered that about myself is, I am a big vision person. I get gut feelings, I get intuition. But a lot of times I do not see the specifics of what that path is going to entail. And this was, like that in every single way. We bought this new building for our design showroom of all things. And we had this extra tenant space, and I walked through it. It used to be the old Ecolab building. So it was like a laboratory, and it had tall ceilings, and it was very just square and modular. And I was like, this would make a really cool recording studio and like production studio for our content. And I kind of just threw that idea out there, and our ownership went for it. And, they're very innovative, very open-minded, sort of progressive leadership team. And they're all about it. And so we just kind of started, we're a construction company. So we had the resources to build it, which was really nice and efficient. And then there was also this other sort of just open space that we turned into sort of an open kind of co-working space, kind of like a flex space. And so that's also a part of the studio is there's, kind of like an open office with a coffee bar and a pull-up glass garage door and a private conference room. So it's very hip. It's we put our kind of, modern style touch on it. And it really has turned out even better than I could have imagined. And so, yeah, for me, that's kind of my approach is I'm a visionary. I get sort of the feeling of what something could be or the direction of it could go. And then I have to be working with people who can execute and who are tactical and, can help bring that vision to life. Otherwise I'm pretty good for nothing. So.
Yeah, we know that storyline very well. Becca is very visionary and is always thinking forward and like, oh, she texts me at 2 a.m. like, I had this idea. And
Mhm.
we always joke about how Becca is the trailblazer and I'm the brush cleaner. I like to come behind and just
It's a
kind of
great analogy.
make it look
It's a
pretty.
great analogy. I love that.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
makes it a little bit more smooth for everybody, but everybody
You need
else.
both. You need both.
Yeah, we're a good team that way. So tell us a little bit about the kind of the structure of how you have things set up for your
Space usage.
yeah, like specifically with like how can people come and rent space and what does the pricing structure look like and things like that.
Yeah. So right out of the gate, you can pay $175 a month to become a member of Framework Studio, and what that gets you is access to our open space, which is roughly, I don't know, 1,500 square feet of just open sort of co-working space. There's tables, coffee tables, couches, lounge chairs, and then a coffee bar with free coffee. It's that we actually have a really nice coffee machine that we provide locally roasted coffee from a roaster in Two Harbors. And so it feels kind of like an open coffee shop. And it's just a great vibe. And then along with that, we have options to, like I said, we have a private conference room. So you can kind of just a la carte. If you need to hop into the private conference room to have a team meeting, to meet with a client, you just want some privacy, you can rent that out by the hour for, I believe if you remember, it's $20 an hour. Um, and then we also have an exercise room in the middle of the building that's open to the entire building. There's 3 tenants total, but Framework members also get access to that communal kind of workout area, and you can again add on to your membership for access to that. And then of course the the co-shared studio space, which is about a 400 square foot production studio, sound dampened, and all the production equipment is available for use as well. That's in the studio. We have lights and stands and cameras and audio equipment as well. So that's kind of all the amenities. There's free parking, free Wi-Fi, obviously. And I mentioned the free parking because that seems to be what gets most people is they're really excited about the free parking. A lot of people are downtown working, and that can be a pain. So we have that as well.
Yeah. So I know you had highlighted all those value pieces but crack that open for me in terms of how did you do your market research to say this is a good price point? And are there any people like in your area that would be you're comparing yourself against, or what how did you go about getting to those numbers of value?
Yeah. Yeah, we did a little bit of market research on our own to see what, there really aren't a lot of spaces like this. There are some kind of
I would
co-shared co-working.
agree.
Yeah, there are some around, and there's some of that happening, but so we kind of looked at those prices, but then we also feel like we're offering a bit of a premium product. So, which $175 a month, we actually open that up as sort of a promotional pricing to try to get people in the door right away. We do feel like we're going to raise that price over time because we do feel like we're offering just a better product than what's out there. But we did also work with some students at UMD. We actually worked through kind of like a student program. We got approached by a professor there, a marketing professor, and he has one of his classes do student projects every year for a couple of local businesses. And so we actually had a few teams of students working on our behalf to do some market research for us. And they kind of came up with a lot of numbers and threw some things out there for us to consider, which was really helpful. Yeah. And so, to be honest, it's a little bit of an unknown territory too for us. I'm not going to act like this is like a exact science. We really made some of the, the $175 a month. We really feel like that's like an amazing sort of affordable option for people who are, maybe they have an office space or they're working remotely now after COVID. A lot more people are working from home, and more than even just like a 9-to-5 workspace, they just need a flex space that they can go and, hop into 1 or 2 days a week. Just a change of scenery. We've actually had some small companies come and just use our conference room just to get out of their current space, just to kind of get away and just kind of a different environment. And so, I think even more than a co-working space, which is what we originally planned it to be, I think that word flex space is actually a better description of what it is. because we really see it being more of a supplement probably for most people than like a 9 to 5 come and lock down and work here all day kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. So I know when I talked with one of the owners when I was at your guys' location, he had kind of mentioned some of the production side. Talk to me a little bit about that. Is that something that you guys are getting into, like doing the actual production for people and giving them a finished product? Or are you just providing the space for people to come in and do their own work?
It's kind of like everything's on the table at this point. We we want this to be a place that anybody can use, and kind of wherever you're at with what your needs are, we want to be able to help with that. And so if you just need a space to come and record your content, do your photo shoot, record your podcast, whatever it might be, it's available for that. And then we're also opening up this opportunity to partner with other businesses who actually want help with pre-production, production, and post-production on their content. So, we really feel like this podcasting world is blowing up. A lot of people are seeing the opportunity there. You guys would be the first to acknowledge that. Like, it's just a great opportunity for, I think, any business to start to do a kind of a different type of marketing, and start to create relationships with clients that in a way that's really unique and really impactful. And so we want to be able to help other companies to take advantage of that opportunity as well. So we're kind of doing all the above right now. We have a couple clients on board that we're starting podcasts for. We've been having some kind of one-off non-members coming in to use the space, and we've got 4 or 5 memberships signed up for the monthly leases. So we're just kind of rolling with it, and then we'll see if that narrows as far as our focus. But right now we're just trying to kind of see what the need is and go with it.
Yeah. So when you guys first started out, how did you decide? Because I know there's such a price range in terms of technology for podcasting and sound dampening and all of that. What was kind of the things that you said, these we could maybe go lighter on, but this is what is most valuable to invest in to make sure these things are done well?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the soundproofing was one big area we felt like would be important. That was actually some feedback we got early on, even before we started building. Was I talked to a couple local businesses and just entrepreneurs that I know around town who are doing kind of podcast and audio stuff and recording, and they mentioned that if they could have a place where they can go and it's just soundproof and they know they're gonna be able to get good audio, that was really important. So that was definitely something we prioritized. And then, the studio, we wanted it to be, somewhat of a blank slate. And so we wanted it to be something that people could come into and, create, if they want to use what's here already and the aesthetic that's here, that's great. But also we wanted it to be something that people could, create their own environment, put up decorations or their brand colors or whatever, in order to kind of just have a blank canvas to work with. I went with the black walls. Being a filmmaker, my background is in cinematography, and I really like the way that the black walls sort of soak in some of the light. But there's always the option to, bring in, white backdrops if you want to. I just personally really like the all black sort of feel. So.
Yeah, that's so cool. And it does look so professional and like you said, like that blank slate, like you could just do anything with it. And I think that that's really fun that you guys went with that.
Yeah.
So how do you guys, just kind of looking forward in that visionary mindset, how do you kind of budget for technology upgrades or like things that you want to do moving forward?
Yeah. I try to get as much help as possible because, but I think going back to that visionary personality type, I'm always sort of putting one foot forward before I think about, some of the practical details like that. And
or what the foot is landing on.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Like, are we going to have somewhere to walk? So luckily, we've been able to carry over a lot of our resources from JNRS. Last year we invested, I came on as the marketing director, and there really wasn't a marketing department before that. And so I had a budget to work with, and bought some equipment. With my background in film and photography, I knew exactly what we needed. And I've gotten really good at being efficient with, how we can get the best quality of production equipment at the best price. And so I like to really, personally, I think it's all relative as far as how much money you spend. But I think, you work with the tools that you have. And if you're a creative person, if you're an artist, if you're someone who, has a vision, then, you're going to make something good, whether you're using your phone or you're using a $30,000 camera. And that's something I've experienced over my career many times. A lot of the best things I've ever created and the most impactful content has just been using the tools that I have around me, and oftentimes embracing the limitations that I'm kind of forced to use and create within. So we do have, we've got a good set of equipment to get started with, but I think anybody can come in here and get up and running and create something awesome right off the bat. So we try to just, use the resources we have and be smart and, but at the same time, being as efficient as possible too.
Mm-hmm. So we always ask our guests, what free tips or resources would you recommend to someone who wanted to try out something like this? So is there any specific like YouTube videos or books or anything that you used in your process to start up this recording studio?
I don't have anything as far as starting a studio, and particularly as far as books or free resources. YouTube is my best friend. Absolutely. I couldn't point you to one specific video, but I mean, you Google or YouTube how to create a studio, how to set up a, photography studio, whatever it might be. I mean, there's so many good tutorials out there. I will say one good resource does come to mind. They're called Think Media. And they're all about, they do all sorts of type of content, but they do a lot of gear reviews. They do a lot of like setups and kind of how to create content and whatnot. I would definitely check them out. They do really helpful, valuable content. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how do people find you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So personally, I'm on LinkedIn. I've been really going all in on LinkedIn lately. I don't personally have as much presence on other platforms anymore, but business wise, Framework Studio, frameworkduluth.com is our URL for our website. We just got that up and running. And then on Instagram.
So we're really catching you at the beginning of this. Like this is very new.
It's like, I'm still like remembering my URL, and then the same thing for Instagram is at Framework Duluth. So we're starting out on Instagram. That's where we're the most present, I would say.
Awesome.
Awesome. Yeah. And I feel like we had so many more questions, but I am really excited to get to the Sister Gawk portion because Max has a story he wants to share with us.
Maybe he doesn't want to share, but we're asking him to share.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Well, you're going to tell us about how you kind of started out with recording, and we're excited to hear about it.
Yeah. So my first sort of experience with media and recording was hip hop music. And so many people who meet me don't first assume, rapper or hip hop artist. But when I was in college, I really got into hip hop music and started recording my own music just on my computer with like a microphone. And then pretty soon I was on stage, like, performing and then even recorded my own album. So that was,
album?
Yeah, I recorded my own album. If you really
do you still sell it?
No, not at all. In fact, I would probably burn it if I saw it. But no, I'm joking. But if you really search hard, you might be able to find some old music
challenge
out there,
accepted.
But yeah. So one story from that era was, I really got into like the whole battle rapping, and of course I watched 8 Mile and thought I was, a little Eminem. And so I kind of in my naivety, entered into a rap battle down in Minneapolis. And, I just thought I was gonna, go in there and just destroy everyone. And it was the complete opposite. Like I got completely embarrassed. I did make it through like the tryout run, where you go up and you have to kind of like just rap for 30 seconds, just, and it was something I kind of prepared for ahead of time, but like I was not ready for like the just off the top of your head sort of insult rap battles that went on. Like it was just
like
really
roasting
embarrassing.
people put to music.
Yes, exactly. And And the funny thing is like this, probably the least intimidating guy there. He was like this little scraggly kid from like New York, and he had curly hair. And like, I was just like, okay, yeah, I got matched up with him. I was like, all right, if anybody, like this guy is like the one I want to go against. But he was so good. Like he just embarrassed me. Like he made fun of my t-shirt, and I think he, called me like Donnie Darko or something. And it was an embarrassment, but you learn from it and you move on, and it's now something I can look back and laugh at. So
It's almost like a badge of honor now of like that guy, maybe he's famous and I was publicly roasted by him.
Probably. Yeah, he's probably out there somewhere making millions. And
yeah. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Max, for joining us. We have just loved getting to chat with you and learn more about what you guys are doing. And if you guys want to check him out, again, the Innovative Builder podcast, or like he was mentioning, you said Framework
Duluth. Yeah. FrameworkDuluth.com or at Framework Duluth on Instagram. Yep.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah.
And if you guys like this episode, then go ahead and give us a review on Apple Podcast.
We'll see you next week.